You don't need the perfect take or endless overdubs. You need to record a great performance. Hey, I'm Big Ed. I've been making records for 32 years. Let me help you through this. So when I first started recording, like many of us, you get into the studio, you lay down a drum track, and then you'd overdub endlessly to get it all perfect, and you were worried about the perfect take, and you'd be sitting there overdubbing for hours, and even if you hired studio cats, as I do as a producer, to play on records, I'm still now looking for a great performance. And why is that? Well, when I came to Nashville 22 years ago, I hooked up with Bob Olson, who was one of the original Motown engineers. And he said to me, hey, look, we've put together this amazing group of musicians who all worked back from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, Muscle Shoals, Memphis, Motown. They had all moved here, and we were working with them. And he's like, you know what? They were used to recording great performances live in the studio and with no headphones. He's like, why don't we go about doing that again? Because all the classic records that we grew up loving and are still classic today, even for you youngins, were recorded live. They were live performances. And that's why they touch people so much, is because they're performances. So we started recording live in the studio without headphones. And we found, especially when we were working with the artists, that the artists loved it too. Now, they had to do their homework, they had to be prepared, they had to rehearse that song on their own enough that they had full command of it, and I've talked about this before. But when you record in a circle together in a great studio with all the great gear that you'd had before, all of a sudden something magical happens. You record a performance. And when you're working with great musicians or your own band, it doesn't matter. You will know when you've got that performance. I used to look to Dave Hungate and go, hey, Dave, Dave's played with Toto and hundreds, if not thousands of hit records. I'd say, hey, Dave, we got it? And he'd be like, yeah, we got it. That's the one. You will know, because it's the performance that moves everybody in the studio and behind the glass in the control room. And you will know too. So don't worry about the perfect take. Don't worry about endless overdubs. Just work on your craft and look for a performance. When that performance moves you and everybody else in the room, you're going to move the audience too.